feel like sometimes it gets misunderstood. At the time when the film came out, I was dating a woman whose parents were immigrants here, and they felt like I had made a pornographic film. And she was like trying to explain, she's like, the film is not porn. It's about a guy who's making, and even that's not a porn film either. But they were like, so your boyfriend makes a porn.
Chuck, here it is.
Want to see something? Here we go.
Pop those tops.
I hate it. I hate it.
It's action. It's fine, but it's wrong. Here we go.
Love those boobs.
They love you. I mean, it's pretty and it's erotic, but I would call that a real movie.
My name's Clay Westervelt, and I was the director of Popatopolis, which means I was also the cinematographer and the writer. I was completely unfamiliar with Jim Wynorski's name and with his work until I got a call just as I was finishing grad school at USC. I got asked if I wanted to come do reshoots on a feature film that was being produced by Franchise Entertainment. And I got a call from Franchise and they said, you shoot high def, right? This was at the time when high definition video was just coming in. People were used to video being really horrible and everybody else was shooting film. And so I was kind of in that area where I was shooting both as a cinematographer. I was shooting film, I was shooting video. And they said, you shoot high def? And I said, yeah. And they said, well, you want to come do reshoots on this film for us? I said, well, what is it? They said, it's an action film that we scheduled for a 14-day shoot. And I said, oof, that sounds rough. Because usually you'd have 30, 50 or more shooting days at least, even on a low budget action film. They said, yeah, but the thing is, we scheduled it for 14 days, but we shot it in Hawaii. And the crew shot it in 6 days and took the rest of the days off to go to the beach. So consequently, we have no wide shots in this movie. And I was like, oh, okay. They said, yeah, so we want to know if you can do reshoots. I said, do you want to send me to Hawaii to do reshoots? And they go, no, we want to know if you can shoot beaches in LA and make it look like Hawaii. I said, well, I don't know if it's going to look like Hawaii, but I'm pretty sure it'll look better than what you've got. So, okay. So they had fired the DP and wanted to hire me to shoot it, and fired the director and hired Jim Wynorski to direct it. And he has a reputation in that world for okay, you got to get something done cheap and on time. He can get it done. And my friend Joel, who was assigned to edit it, he's the one who hooked me up with him then. And he said, I got to warn you, he's really cranky and he'll yell a lot on set, but you're very even-tempered. You'll be fine. It'll be okay. And I said, okay. And then he said, but I got to kind of show you how this works. And so he invited me over to the edit room and started telling me about how they are all the time cutting in this stock footage to make their action films. And so he's like, so you got to match what the stock footage is. You can't just shoot it the way you want. So I talked to Franchise and I said, okay, well, can I see the dailies of what you have? And they were like, oh, I guess. They didn't want to even share that. And I said, can I meet with the director? And they said, absolutely not. He's way too busy. I said, okay. So I got a VHS screener to see what the film was and what the style was so I could match to it. But I don't get to meet him until the first day on set. I gathered up my crew. I had my favorite people. And we had not a lot of money, but I made really good use of it. We had a 4-ton grip truck, a jib. We had a Sony HD cam, the same thing they had just shot Star Wars on, the Cine Alta, and we had a good package of lenses. It was a small crew, but it was a good crew. But I didn't get to meet the director until first day on set, and we had the doors burst open, and big bear of a man comes through, and he's like, who are you? And I was like, what? I go, I'm Clay Westervelt. He's like, DP. And I go, yeah, nice to meet you. And he's like, what's that? And I said, it's a Sony F900. He's like, video. And I thought, oh, God, they didn't even tell him that we're shooting in video. He's going to be furious already that we're not on film, and he thinks it's no good. And I said, look, George Lucas just shot Star Wars on it. It's going to be fine. It looks great. He's like, all right, listen. Do you have a tripod, or is this whole thing handheld? I go, no, we have a tripod. And he goes, this is going to be great. And I was like, what is going on? And from there, we were off and running. And it was like nothing I'd ever experienced. And I got to see what the criticisms were, like when people had told me that, he yelled a lot or he was impatient and whatever. And there's a million stories from that experience, and I very quickly wished that someone was following us around with a behind-the-scenes camera, because it was the perfect fish out of water story for a kid who was coming from USC Film School and was trained to do things a certain way, and was being put into a totally different pond to work very differently. But I also really quickly came to see what a genuine and lovable guy he was, and like the difference between the facade and the man underneath it all.
That was very nice. Okay.